Since September 11th and the anthrax incidents that have followed it, people have been worried about biochemical weapons.
For years, the U.S. government's been experimenting with weapons of mass destruction, and much of that research has taken place in neighboring Utah at a place called Dugway. George Knapp has more in this special assignment.
Security at the Army's Dugway Proving Ground in central Utah is understandably tight. After all, what's stored here would be a terrorist dream. For decades, Dugway has been the location of choice for military tests involving biochemical agents, anthrax, plague, and nerve gas, to name a few. And stockpiles of those materials are still stashed here.
There's what we call Pandora's icebox. It's essentially a deep freeze for these pathogens in the facility at Dugway.
Military watchdog Steve Erickson says the amount of biochemical agents stored at Dugway today is far less than in previous years, which might be a relief to some who live near the base. Even though the U.S. military long ago agreed to never use such weapons, the fact is the Pentagon has used chemical agents in battle and in testing. And we've exported what we know about biochemical agents to other nations around the world, some of whom have been willing to use them. The tests at Dugway were conducted in the open air, and while the military still won't admit it, such tests led to the deaths of thousands of sheep at ranches outside the base, that back in the late 60s. Whether there have been other accidental releases is hard to say, since the Army won't answer many questions. Former employees say there have been other accidents, as well as inadvertent exposures among workers to chemical poisons. But
it's always difficult to get information out of the Army about these types of activities.
So if the U.S. has sworn to never use such weapons, what is being done with the Army's supplies? In the picturesque ranch land of Utah's Tooele County, not far from Dugway, is a secured facility with a giant smokestack. The plant operates 24 hours a day, and the smoky stuff coming out of the stack is all that remains of incinerated nerve gas. The Deseret Chemical Depot is off limits to anyone who doesn't work there. Security is tight because of what's stored inside.
Over 30,000 tons of chemical agent need to be destroyed at the Tooele Army Depot.
People who live nearby worry about the plant. There have been several instances when the place was shut down after traces of nerve gas were detected going out of the smokestack. Other cities around the country and other nations, including Russia, have decided that burning these poisons in incinerators is too risky because trace amounts may be enough to cause long-term health effects. The U.S. incineration program is tens of billions of dollars over budget and 10 years behind schedule, and yet the testing of biochemical agents at Dugway continues, although the Army says it's for defensive, not offensive purposes. But in such patriotic times as these, Erickson says it's tough to generate much attention among the media or the public concerning anything too critical of the government or the military. He says now is the time scrutiny is needed most.
And the public needs to be engaged in these discussions now, rather than simply trusting that the government's going to make the right choices. At times, we do make the right choices, our government does. At times, they've made some very poor ones.
George Knapp, Eyewitness News.
Company which runs the Army's incineration program is EG&G. That's the same firm which once managed the Nevada test site and which still operates the secret military base at Groom Lake.